Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My very first review on this channel 3 years ago today was on the first film, but today's review is on its sequel. However, given that the first film went down in history as one of my most hated films ever, I was interested to see how this would follow it up. So this is Kier's Reviews, and this is my review of Venom, Let There Be Carnage.
Buddy, I'm the only person that took you in when your friends kicked you off the planet Ming-Mong because you are a reject. You are a pariah. Lethal protection, my ass. You couldn't protect anything. You are useless. You can get a job down here cleaning toilets.
I'm sorry. I don't know what came over me. Please, let me fix it.
How about it?
So I can bring it again.
For someone who hated the first movie entirely, I'm extremely surprised that I really enjoyed Venom 2. A lot of what I disliked about the first film was improved dramatically for this movie. It's as if Sony listened to the critics and used what didn't go well the first time in order to make the sequel better. By getting rid of Ruben Fleischer and replacing him with Andy Serkis as director, Sony made probably the best decision they could have with these movies. I'm not saying that Ruben is a bad director, because he made Zombieland, which is absolutely one of my favourite films ever, but it felt like Andy Serkis was more suited to helm Venom 2. The reason as to why Andy Serkis was hired was because he has such a deep knowledge of filming with motion capture and CGI, given that he was Gollum in Lord of the Rings, and that he was the lead ape in the latest Planet of the Apes trilogy. He brought everything he could to this film and genuinely made me enjoy every single second of it. He was a major part as to why Venom Let There Be Carnage was handled so much better.
Where are you going with this?
You are a cancer to everyone who ever loved you, Eddie. Deceived your trusting fiancé, and no wonder Daddy could never look at you again after you killed his wife, your mother, just by being born.
You son of a bitch!
A big improvement upon the first Venom film has to be the quality of the script. Whilst a few lines here and there were terribly written, the general script and dialogue for this was so much better and made for a more enticing experience. It's great to see that Sony has finally settled on what genre they're wanting for this trilogy. This was actually one of my major issues I had with Venom 1, because it had scenes of horror and action and terribly timed comedy, resulting in this huge mess. However, Venom 2 felt like Sony had decided that it would be an action comedy, and I'm thrilled that that was where they were heading. The consistent tone throughout the film didn't interfere with the storyline at all, and that impressed me too. However, one of my biggest flaws with this sequel is that there was so much potential for a lot of these characters, which did end up leaving me a little disappointed with how some of them were treated. I still wish that more could have been done with the film if it had an MA rating, which remained as a problem that I had from seeing Venom 1. I really thought that an MA rating would have been so much more suited to Cletus Kasady's malevolence and Carnage's killer nature, but because this can't be changed, the character was so well portrayed with the restrictions that Sony had put in place.
What does he want?
Maybe he wants to spill the beans about where the missing bodies are buried. So you're gonna have to do the right thing for a change.
A big concern going into Venom Let There Be Carnage was the extremely short 90-minute runtime, but by having this short runtime, the movie's pace was much more tolerable due to everything being moved along quickly, yet not taking anything away from the film itself. I just wished that characters like Shriek were focused on a bit more, given that Shriek was barely in the film at all. Carnage was handled brilliantly, and the visual effects for both Venom and Carnage were dramatically improved, no doubt because of Andy Serkis. Woody Harrelson in the post-credit scene of Venom 1 was rubbish with that awful wig and terrible lines. I didn't think that he would be able to pull it off, but Woody Harrelson was great casting for the role. His hairdo was very strange and some of his performance was a little off for what the film was building up to, but you felt like you had enough knowledge about the character from the first act so that once he became Carnage, it wasn't overdone. The action sequences were probably the only entertaining part of Venom 1, but ended up being in short supply. I loved that Venom 2 balanced the action amongst everything else. The comedy usually worked with me, as I found myself laughing quite a lot. This is mainly due to the comedic and strong relationship between Eddie Brock and Venom, thanks to an excellent performance from Tom Hardy. If you felt like you didn't see enough of Venom in the first movie, you'll be super satisfied at the frequent rate of seeing the character this time round. However, I also loved the contrast to the relationship Cletus Kasady had with Carnage, because it felt like Carnage was his own individual character. I won't elaborate any further on that point as I don't want to dive into any spoilers. Characters that annoyed me, like Michelle Williams' Anne, the ex-fiancée of Eddie Brock, proved to not annoy me this time. Every character that came across for this sequel performed way better, probably because of the much improved script. By keeping these side characters from Venom 1, Serkis made a great choice, and I hope that he stays on to direct Venom 3. Venom Let There Be Carnage is everything a fan of the character longed for in the first movie, and whilst this one does have a classification boundary, there is still heaps of fun to be had here, whether it's with the action, the comedy, or even the fast-paced runtime. I have to say that as a hater of the first movie, I'm glad that I was so blown away with the sequel. It's not perfect, but it's a very well done film, so I'll give Venom Let There Be Carnage a 7 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Are you looking forward to seeing Venom Let There Be Carnage? Let me know below. As always, be sure to have a look at my 100th movie review of all time, Sing Street, and be sure to have a listen to the 4th episode of my podcast with Nick's Film Reviews. This has been Kia's Reviews, signing off for now.
Don't forget to like, follow, and obey.